Hi guys, so this is the first time I'm recording a video in English. So let's get into it. So I'm doing this kind of flower tutorial because I have this commission where the client said that she would like to have this hydrangea, and I'm not sure how to pronounce it in English, but so I decided to do two drawings because she asked two drawings, and then this one is already done, and I'm going to do this one. I'm using this book called Flower Color Guide to inspire and use that as a reference. I always recommend you to use something, not drawing by just by your imagination. You have to see the flower and study the flower. So I was wondering, I have one white hydrangea here. I'm not sure where it is, but here I'm doing this composition. So I'm not sure if you can see it, but I'm going to take my pencil and just draw the flowers. You have to do the drawing very smoothly because you're going to erase it after it's done, so the watercolor doesn't have these pencil marks underneath. I'm not following it exactly, but just having some inspiration to the composition. You don't have to be so rigid. You have to copy the photograph. Like I said, it's just a reference. And I like the three flowers here. And there's something important too, because when you see a photograph in a book, you know that this photograph was picked because it was well taken. So if the picture is good, your drawing is going to be good and the composition is going to be balanced, and you're not drawing just by your imagination. So you have this maybe you feel that it is balanced in a way because it was in the photograph you're watching. This one should be more circular. So this hydrangea has smaller leaves than the other. The other one has bigger leaves, and I think it's good. They look well together. So I'm starting from this one, and the other, maybe another video. I'm using I'm just going to pick the blue one because I want this to be blue. I think I'm going to do a mix of this. I'm using the blue one for this one and the lilac to the other, just because and it's simple. Just because I have the smaller leaves in here, I'm going to have a lower quantity of green, so I can push the color, and I can choose a color that is brighter than this one. So I'm going to use the blue one here, and then in this you have the green leaves that are occupying most of the painting, the drawing. So when we have a heavier element here, that is the darker green, I can choose something more light for here. So I'm going to pick the lilac, almost white, to paint these hydrangeas. So I'm going to start from the blue ones and then I go to the lilac. So I'm using this picture like a reference to the both of the drawings. Just want to fix the page so you can see. It's difficult. Oh. It doesn't want to be used to my drawing. Oh, okay, that's fine. Yes. So let's start. If you have this kind of it's an erase we call breath erase, because it's so flexible and you can just press the drawing as I'm doing and you can erase it without erasing it completely. So you have this thin the thin lines that are going to be your guides to the watercolor. Okay, so I can see where are the flowers and the leaves, but it doesn't compromise my watercolor, as watercolor is a transparent material. You don't want to have these lines messing up with the drawing. So it is really almost invisible, but you can see it. So now I'm going to start with the lighter areas. There are the hydrangeas. I really don't know how to pronounce it in English, but I'm making an effort. I'm using this blue, it's the indigo blue from Van Gogh. I know it's on my Mission Gold palette, but I love it so much that I put it in here so I can combine it with the other Mission Gold colors. And maybe mixing just a little bit of cerulean blue, that it's a vivid blue, to make this tone more intense and vibrant. I'm using a lot of water, and now I'm going to spread it all over the flower. You don't have to wet the paper previously. It doesn't need to be wet. And I'm doing that in the other three flowers. This is actually the first time I'm doing a video in English, so it's kind of weird being alone and talking to you in a language that is not my mother's language, but let's give it a go. So as you can see, the hydrangea is a little bit of a complicated flower because it has a lot of petals and they are kind of messed up in here. So I'm looking to this one. So what I can see is that I don't see the flower itself, but I see a lot of petals. So I'm going to give that idea. I'm just trying to do that in this the top in the top. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to to do the petals, but you know that each petal has a different color. So in general you see a lot of petals with a lot of tones, but you can't see a flower. So you see a lot of petals in here. So I'm just going to have these petals without caring too much about the flower format itself. So I'm just drawing petals. And you don't have to worry about the blue tone you have, because you're just going to have a lot of tones playing around. So I'm just giving the petals format, but don't actually worrying about the flower format. And you're going to do some petals on the next layer. I don't want to make the drawing too much realistic. It's going to be like in the middle. It's not going to be abstract, but it's not going to be too much of realism in here. Now I'm drawing these flower formats, but you know, the petals are going to mix all together. You can't actually see where is the flower. You can do lighter or darker. Don't worry much about it, because they are really messed up in here. It's a mix of petals with colors, different colors. So you want this layer to dry before doing the next one. So I'm going to leave this like this, and I'm going to do the next one. You know that in between the flowers you're going to have a darker tone to make it pop. You can see there are the darkest tones are just in the deepest layers. So it's the final thing to do. You always think about doing the things that are closest to you and ending with the things that are more far away from you and deeper. So we're just going to have these petals, and then we start going deeper in the flower. You can mix a little of lilac here, because the blue is not so strong. You can see that is not definitely the color we want. So I'm going to mix it with a little indigo, and then more water, and then a little bit of purple to make it less saturated. Yeah. And I can bring this green to here. So It's beautiful now. It's a lot darker. I'm going to add more water. And if you have a lot of water in the paper, you can just, oh my god. Actually, I started with doing a hydrangea that was two colors. It was green and pink, and it was really difficult because doing a degradé in the petals, it's not difficult, but doing this technique in lots of petals like here, it's insane. So I can show you what was not. He's far away the painting, but I can show you later. And sorry about some language mistakes I can make because I don't really use to talk. I only talked in English when we had the ballet exams and there was an examinator that we bring to Portugal, and we would always pick her in the airport and bring her to school, and that was one time in every year, and this year we haven't that opportunity because due to this situation of COVID-19. And then it was the only time in the whole year that I speak English to anyone, so I have very few practice. But I'm trying to not say anything wrong. So, as you can see, you don't have to use the hair dryer to dry the watercolor faster, because when you're going to have a lot of things to paint, when I was painting this one, the first one is already dry, so I can do the second layer here. And I'm just adding a little bit of a darker tone and changing my brush to this one that has a thin finish, because I need these thin lines. So I'm going to do carefully. I'm going to how can I say this? Fulfill these spaces between the petals. Just in some cases, because I want to leave the lighter blues in some cases. So here is more personal, so you don't have to make as I say, but if you want to preserve this lighter color, you're going to paint the spaces in between, but you can leave some areas with the first layer of color, that is this lighter one. And don't worry again with the format of the flower, because you don't have to have it. This is just a mix of petals, and in general you'll see in the finished work it will work. Literally, it will work. So here I say you have to think more about this flower format, just in the sense that you have to preserve this kind of little flowers, so in the end you can actually see the flowers. But don't worry too much, because you see in here I don't have this defined flower, but here you can have this. You can leave these petals. And I think the magic starts here, when you fill these gaps between the flowers and you start to see the flowers and to see other lighter petals, and it starts to gain volume and yeah, that's it. I should have started here in the top left, so I can't mess this painted area, but that's okay. Don't worry too much with it. So again, this is not a realistic way of drawing hydrangeas, but it's a way that works, and it solves the problem. I think the important thing in watercolor, it's not the realism you achieve when you're doing a piece, but is the way we solve the problem. We wanted to see this flower, and even if it's not realistic, you can see it is an hydrangea. It's not a rose or something else. So I think that's the important part, is that you can paint something without being too realistic, but you still see which flower you're drawing. So I guess I'm going just to do this flower, so you can see the process in one flower and not making a video that is too long. And then you can do the rest in the other flowers, and I'll show you the final result. But we have this exercise of doing one flower, and you already know how to solve the others. My dog is crying. O que é que se passa, tu vês? O que foi? So I'm almost done. This is not going to be like this, but you'll see what I'm doing next. So I'm leaving these lighter petals that I told you, while trying to fulfill the gaps between the flowers. And then while I wait for it to dry, I'm going to paint the leaves. I'm using it is a dark green, sorry, but it has some olive green in it, and maybe I'll put some purple to make it less saturated. You see, the color starts going darker, and it's so important you have this the drawing and the palettes near the photo, so you almost see that the two colors are really similar, so they're ready to apply without messing up with the paint that is drying. You have to be cautious. You have to have caution to not don't know how to say it. You cannot touch the watercolor areas that are drying, so the colors don't mix. I'm sorry. And the other one, and you can already use the movements of the brush to do this leaf shape, and okay. So while the leaves are drying, you go again to the flower, and we're going to do this darker color. So it is only in some spaces, not all the spaces, because you're just having the final layer. So here you want to how can I say, to show where are the principal flowers. So I have this one and I'm highlighting it, making everything that is around her, around it, deeper and darker. So I'm que é que foi? Tu ias? Que chato! O que é que tu queres? My God. We have 30 minutes of this video and I'm not even finished. I guess I'm going to have to speed it. So that's it. You're just highlighting some petals, some flowers, so you can actually see some flowers. Not all the flowers, but some flowers here. So you see this right corner. And then if you want, you can have some shades here in the middle of the flowers. This should be a 2-hour drawing, so I hope to finish it in 2 hours, but we're going to stay here. Well, in the leaves the situation is way more easy, so you're just covering some you just have to leave these white lines, like the Netflix series. These white lines are really important to keep, so you're just filling the spaces in between, and then you have this leaf really beautiful, and in the end you can add some shade too. So I'm quite happy with it. So I'm going to be finishing this video. I hope you enjoyed. Hope you you don't mind about my English mistakes. I'm so badly trained, but that's okay. So I hope you enjoyed. Have fun. Do the other petals, the other flowers, and then tell me what you thought about this, and if you want that I make more videos in English or just make them in Portuguese, it would be really helpful. So thank you guys, have fun, have a nice day, thank you very much.